me, this led to a fifth stage. Studying the theological "where was God" question was excruciating for me, but there was an aspect of the Holocaust that was the only positive aspect you could find, and that is that there were people who rescued other people during the Holocaust. I don't know if you focused on that here at all over these couple of weeks, but I wrote a dissertation about Christians who rescued Jews during the Holocaust. And you might call this my rescuer stage, and it became very decisive for me. A Bible passage that became very, very important for me was Proverbs 24, 10 through 12, that basically says, if you turn your head away when other people are being led to the slaughter, then will you not answer to God for your deeds? So the idea is, rescue those who are heading to slaughter. Care for those who are being victimized. God is demanding that of you. Or even another Bible passage that I came to again and again, like many rescuers came to again and again, was the story of the Good Samaritan. During the Holocaust, the Jews were like the person in the ditch who had been stripped and left for dead. And rescuers were like the Good Samaritan who came by and rescued. And did what was required at great risk to themselves to rescue. So this Good Samaritan stage for me, or this Proverbs 24 stage for me, created in me this conviction that while we cannot answer all of the theological questions, we can answer the moral question. What do you do when people are being victimized? You rescue them. That's what you do. What do you do when you see somebody in the ditch bleeding? You stop. And you pick them up, and you dust them off, and you give them what they need, and you take them to the inn. That the Christian faith is a rescuing kind of faith, that Jesus taught us that this is what it really means to love our neighbors as ourselves. Remember how even the Good Samaritan story is framed. Who is my neighbor? Love your neighbor as yourself. Who is my neighbor? Jesus tells the Good Samaritan story. In this stage in our own family life, we decided to do a little bit of rescue ourselves. I had a student at the time who came from a horribly abusive background. And she was physically and every other way abused. And she was in my ethics program. She needed a family, and we decided as a family to rescue her. We adopted her into our family, and she took our name and became a part of our family. And it was the hardest thing we ever did in our lives, because there were a lot of issues there. But it was like we could not be people who had been immersed in the study of rescuers for 3 years and then not rescue this person who was presented to us as in need of rescue. So I came to conclude in this fifth stage that Christian faith it's more important to rescue in the name of Jesus, to be the Good Samaritan, than it is to get all of the theological questions answered. Because you might say that the best answer to the problem of evil is to attack evil. The best answer to the problem of evil is to care for somebody who needs to be cared for. The theological questions will always be debated until Jesus comes back. Okay? And also I would say that in this kind of rescue stage, I became aware of many, many other incidents in which I thought there was a kind of a rescuer paradigm. And it goes something like this. Christians who had safety and security and freedom and some influence used their influence to help others who were less fortunate. In fact, and sometimes to help others who were being deeply victimized. And so a rescuer paradigm, somebody like William Wilberforce, who helped to lead the fight to abolish slavery in England and was hated as a result. Somebody like Florence Nightingale, who led the fight to improve the medical conditions of those who were dying in wartime. People who did the Underground Railroad to help slaves escape during the Civil War days. People who were a part of the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s. Nelson Mandela in South Africa. Dietrich Bonhoeffer in Germany. Rescuer heroes began to emerge for me, and I decided I want to be like them, and I want to teach about them, and I want to impress upon my students that this is what it really means to be a Christian. And it's all part of the journey. All part of the journey.